All right, Ainsley, whenever I speak or on the series here, I always talk about how important influencers are, and I share my grandfather was one of my first influencers by far, and him, my grandmother, my mom, my aunt were from Kyiv, and they moved to Canada, et cetera, et cetera. And I know he used to take me for walks in the park when I was 5 or 6, and one time I asked him, I called him Zeta. I said, how do you know all these people that he talked to? Like, that's obviously where I get my talking from, I think. But he said one day I smiled at the guy and he came over and talked to me and we were talking and I learned so much about this and that. And then another person saw us and he came over and smiled at us and laughed at us. And I'm thinking as a 5-year-old, well, this is pretty cool and simple. You just got to smile at people to get stuff or whatever. And then you learn more and more that maybe it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to be influential on people. And so, with that said, can you share maybe two or three people that have been influential in your life so far?
So I feel like most of the people who have been influential in my life are particularly women role models who I look up to as people whose careers I would love to emulate one day. Dr. Lisa Hinkelman, for example, she is the founder and CEO of Ruling Our Experiences, or ROX, amazing organization. And the work that they do is so exciting to me because she was really the first person to introduce to me how confidence plays such an important role in leadership development in young women. Because I had been surrounded by messaging of like, oh, you need to get kids interested in STEM, yada, yada, yada. But she was really the first person who started to bring up these conversations of maybe it's more than just interest, maybe it's also having those leadership skills to be able to pursue a STEM career. And so she not only just seeing the work that she's doing, but also just getting to talk with her about these issues is really um, sort of shaped my worldview as well about, for instance, my nonprofit very much focuses on these leadership skills and professional skills because we have seen the same thing that Rox has, which is these are so essential for retention in STEM, not just interest but retention. And so, like, I love getting to talk with her about the work that she's doing because it's so great when you connect with somebody who has a mind that's very synergistic with yours, where you think the same way and you have the same sort of vision for yourself. And she's always been a role model of mine since I met her about this time last year. Um, Other role models and sort of influences on me are some of the young women that I have the pleasure of being friends with or colleagues with. I There's so many like ambitious and fantastically accomplished young women in my circle, and they constantly inspire me. I have friends who have founded their own organizations like me. I have friends who have won like international competitions for things, and just getting to be around people who have humongous dreams for things just as much as I do. It reminds me like we are all going places, and there is something about that energy of being ambitious that just keeps
Yeah.
you going forward when you're surrounded by other ambitious people. So I'm just always so grateful to have a community of people like them to sort of share my crazy ideas with, because they'll actually be like, oh, that's so cool, instead of like, you should probably sleep more and not do this, which is a response I get sometimes. um, so I'm very grateful to them as well, and just anybody who's ever sort of been somebody that has helped me in some way. They've influenced me, whether it's introducing me to somebody at a conference or giving me some advice for a test. As I said in my other responses, like, I'm always so grateful for the people in my life, and I feel like everybody has had an influence on me in some way. um, but those are sort of some of the standouts.
Yeah, no, what's great about what you're saying is, oh, by the way, I guess your parents, when you were playing Scrabble or around the dinner table, were probably influential too in that
Yes.
sense. But what you say is so important because we should all remember that we're always influencing people ourselves too. And sometimes you
Mhm.
may not even know it. So it's our choice to be positive or negative because you are going to make an impact. And to your point, you
Mhm.
never know who that person may be. So um, thanks for being an influencer also, and for being open to being influenced. That's really great. So thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, of course.